I guess it helps to turn the mic on, huh?
Indeed, it does. Going to give it a minute to. There he is. Wait for my co-host. And there's one other person that I promised I would make sure that I.
Hey, everybody.
There she is. Hey, Kolchik. Hey, Donna. Hey, Brian. Rick. Um, I'd like to welcome everybody and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I have a couple of house cleaning things first, and then we'll get on to welcoming our guest tonight. This is kind of, even though we had a space when I was leaving Vegas last week, I kind of feel like, you know, besides being exhausted and at the airport, that I just wanted to say a couple of things about the meetup game in Vegas. For the first official Spaces meetup game, I think was fantastic. I may be a little biased. I want to give another shout out to those that supported me as a host with their donations or just their support and kind words. Elevated Results, of course, the sponsor of Brian and my space every week. Brian and Donna, Sean McCormick and the ARIA staff, Paul Campbell and the Poker Go Studio staff, the South Point Poker Room, Nat's Dogs, and Donna Blevins. I really appreciate everybody's donations to the Splash the Pots, as well as the staff members that took great care of us. Of course, Sean made sure we had free pizza and the Poker Go Studio tour, and it was really a great day. I'd also like to say thank you to those that attended, and I need Don and Brian to listen carefully to point out if I've forgotten anybody on this list. So many thank yous to Bobby and Janine and Yvonne and Buddy and Curtis and HBK, Keith and Eric and Fanboy, Snoop and B, Nick, Brad, Cody, Carolyn, Blue, Carney, BJ, Doinky, Teresa, Dave, Jim, and Alan Keating. I like to thank them for all attending. Did I leave anyone off? If I did, let me know. We'll come back to it.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Another thing, Donna is coming over. She's booked her ticket for a visit to my where I live in Atlanta, and we're gonna hopefully drive, hopefully to Florida. We're still working on a location, and have a meetup game in Florida either on February 10th, 11th, or 12th. And I'm still working on a room and location and a date. So as soon as we have that, we'll release the information. Everybody is welcome. Come one, come all, bring a friend. Um, we'd love to have you. Now, let me say a few words about our guest, who, by the way, was very hard to research. He was one of only, I think, he's only the second person that I had a hard time researching for background um, because his name is so common. And so I texted him and asked him, give me something I can kind of plug in for an intro. And he said that he only had two careers. And then he listed about 20 things he's done in life. So I just had to chuckle at his response of, I've had two careers. And honestly, he started out with that he was an actor and a director in Chicago from the 1980 to 93. So right there's two careers, right? Then he spent then he spent 25 years in the Native American gaming um, in poker and table games. So that's a third career, and I'm sure there was, probably a pit boss here or a poker room director there. And then he mentioned that he had the honor of delivering the Poker Hall of Fame induction speech for Scotty Wynn, which is amazing. Can't wait to hear about that. And he also mentioned, not that he's had more than 2 careers, that he built 3 poker rooms. So we're going to talk about that too in a minute. But please welcome Rick O'Connor to our space this evening.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
I got married by Elvis, so I'm a huge Elvis fan. So it's we got married in the it's called the Horizon. Now it was the Sierra Tahoe, and we got married in the Elvis Suite at the top of the Sierra Tahoe. My best friend was the general manager, and he put the suite back the way it was when
oh,
Elvis was living there, and we were the first ones to use it and get married there.
that's
So
amazing. I love that
it
story.
was fun.
And Donna and I were lucky enough to attend our first Vegas wedding at the Graceland Chapel,
Oh,
and the
cool.
bride and groom got married by Elvis, of course,
So did I.
which was amazing. So tell us about the 3 poker rooms you built.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because we had a lot of fun doing it. Unfortunately, one was built because one was shut down, so we went from 40 tables to 10 tables. That was in Arizona, but I was involved in the building of the Ak-Chin Community Casino in Maricopa, Arizona. By accident, I got involved in the business. I went in and not in audition. I went in and had an interview and ended up being in their first poker dealer class, along with a guy named Mike O'Malley, the king of Omaha at that time, and became a poker dealer. And then went on to become poker manager and a director of poker and casino shift manager. And we at the time we were only the second casino and poker room in the Phoenix area. The other one was Fort McDowell at the time, way north, and we were 17 miles out on John Wayne's Red River Ranch in Maricopa. So they put in 40 tables on the floor, believe it or not, and then eventually we built a $5 million poker
Wow.
room with 40 tables, just absolutely gorgeous. But unfortunately, the Gila River community, who's one of their most famous members, is one of the men who planted the flag at Iwo Jima, who's buried on the tribal grounds there. They decided to build a very nice casino right at where you turn to go to our casino, 17 miles closer to Phoenix. So that was the end of that poker room. That poker room became a wonderful lobby for a
Oh,
hotel.
wow.
And so then we built a small 10-table poker room, and my best friend Steve Lloyd, who was the director of gaming at Ak-Chin, he went on to become the COO of the Cherokee Nation, and they threw the dice. They built this beautiful resort in Tulsa before it was approved.
Wow.
The referendum was in November. They were up and running in September, and they had never allowed poker in the state of Oklahoma. They had table games there for about 6 months. They shut it down, and so he brought me in to open the first poker room and table games for Cherokee Nation, and we had ended up with 5 casinos and 5 poker rooms, and that's where the whole Scotty Wynn thing began, because his wife Julie is from Tulsa, and got to know each other. And there's a backstory there I'll tell you later. But then I went to my dream was to go to Florida, and I ended up in Florida working for the best tribe in the world, the Seminole Nation, a Seminole tribe of Florida, who owns all the hard rocks in the world. They also supply all the hard rocks in the world with their own orange juice and beef from the state of Florida. 7 reservations in Florida, and when I went there in January of '08, it was just a small little butler building, and they had a small little poker room in the middle of the floor. And we ended up spending $150 million on the casino, building a beautiful boutique hotel that Jan Fisher and Linda Johnson got to use many times. Scotty, Kathy Liebert came. All kinds of people came out there, and we built a really really nice new poker room there, and which was a lot of fun. And so those were three of the poker rooms that I was involved with in creating and building. But fun and games,
Very good. Wow, you
and the best thing about it, Sherry, was that we made a concerted effort at Harris to start a ladies tournament. And on Thursday nights, we would have 100 women
amazing.
in in our ladies tournaments. And I tell you, I must have put on 100 pounds because when it was somebody's birthday or anniversary, man, they're bringing the food in. It's like, holy Moses! And some of them were wonderful Mexican ladies, and oh my God,
You were a lucky
the food.
man.
Oh yeah, I was in heaven, So it was. They were fun times, and the ladies really supported the room and the tournament, and so we went on from there. And every place else I went, where I was involved in poker, we did the same thing. We had a huge ladies tournament during Scotty's tournaments at the Cherokee Nation, which is now the Hard Rock in Tulsa. But so we've always promoted that and always gotten Linda and Jan involved. I have a very funny story to tell you about Linda and Jan.
Love
But
them, by the way. And
oh
I've
yeah, good
also
friend.
played in that Hard Rock in Tulsa, I might add too. So
Oh,
go
there
ahead
you
with
go.
yeah,
All right,
go
yeah,
ahead. I love it.
yeah.
Go
It
ahead
was a
with your
fun.
Linda and Jan story.
Well, what we did is we got to go. Julie gave us a call and said, because we're just starting poker in the state of Arizona. We were the first ones to deal a hand of poker in the state of Oklahoma, which was dealt by the CEO, which was hysterical because he dealt pocket jacks, pocket tens, pocket aces, and pocket kings in a no limit hold'em game in
Wow.
the first hand of poker in the state of Oklahoma. Everybody was all in before the flop.
No joke.
It was hysterical. And he's sweating bullets. He didn't know what he did. But anyway, that was the first hand of poker ever dealt in the state of Oklahoma. So um, Jan and Linda, I brought them out to Oklahoma to host a number of different things for us. But I also brought them out to my poker room in Immokalee, Florida, which is about 15, 20 miles east of Naples, Florida, in that area. And when we had the WPT Deep Stacks events, Linda and Jan came in. They'd also host a ladies event and a ladies tournament. And there was a guy in town who was a great DJ, Big Mama. And he had a ladies event every year. And we spread it at our poker room on St. Patty's Day. He did it every year on St. Patty's Day. It was ladies only, but he got to play in it.
I love it.
And it was hysterical. He was a lot of fun. He was a great guy. Gave away great prizes for the ladies, and we broadcast it live on his radio show from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So Linda and Jan come in, and Scotty comes in, and Big Mama wants to take on Linda Johnson heads up. So before the tournament, so Linda agrees, and Jan is going to be her coach, and Scotty's going to be his coach. Well, it was hysterical. We'll broadcast this live on the air too. So, needless to say, Big Mama walked out of the casino missing his pants. She took him for a ride. It was hysterical. It was a lot of fun. We just had a lot of fun. So, and they were all gracious, and there were prizes involved. We did drawing for folks, So they were just wonderful, and we had great times doing stuff like that with them, in those days. So, but we had at Cherokee Nation at the Hard Rock. Now we opened with a 35 table poker room in the middle casino. We had a 5 table high limit room on the side, and my buddy Steve was the COO. And you guys aren't going to believe this, but when we did our big tournaments, he took slot machines out to put poker tables in.
Wow.
And not only that, Shuffle Master put a Shuffle Master on 50 of our tournament tables. And so every tournament table had a Shuffle Master on them. So But it goes way back. What happened was Julie called us and said, "Yeah, you want to meet Scotty? You think maybe you might want to have an ambassador for for poker at your casino?" And after my jaw dropped, um, I said, "Sure. Why don't you guys come out and meet us? And we'll sit down and we'll talk about it." I think it's 2005, somewhere around there. And so he comes out with Julie and his mother, who was in from Vietnam. And they don't get there to the casino until about midnight. And he comes in, and I had my entire staff uh, in the lobby give him a standing ovation when he walked in.
Oh, that's awesome.
And his mother started crying.
Oh, love it.
So yeah, so then he goes in. I had about 7 games going, and he goes in the poker room and shakes the hand of every person in the poker room. Then he goes into the kitchen because he's a culinary whiz. We've been trying to open restaurants with him for years, and he goes in the kitchen and says hello to everybody there. And then my host Sal, who was an executive chef for Harris, uh, said, "What do you want, Scotty? You want something?" Because it was 12:30 at night or something. And he said, "Do you have any crab legs?" Sal goes in the kitchen and cooks him up a batch of crab legs and stuff. So, but that's how it all started. And then we started the Scotty Win Poker Challenge from there on, and that's when all the great pros came into town to support him. Mike Sexton flew in from overseas from doing a WPT event to be with Scotty for his first one. And
I wish Scotty would do a series again. Maybe not like travel all over, but maybe once a year do a long weekend
oh
series.
yeah, we did. It was a 9-day series. And we did 3 major tournaments in Tulsa a year that Scotty would come in and host. And we started with a Jack and Jill on Thursday night. We
Love
would
it.
have 1,100 people in the Jack and Jill, and you on a Thursday night, and you couldn't get knocked
Love
out.
it.
Couldn't get knocked out in the first round. No matter what, you got through the first set. So each player got to play. That was the whole idea. So Scotty had a ball because he and Julie got to play. When Matizow came in, he played with his girlfriend. All the pros. Lane Flack brought his girlfriend, and they just had a ball playing in it. And yeah, so it was a very successful thing. Not only that, we had a group of people that we supported, the Cherokee. The Cherokee Hotties, the Cherokee Ladies formed a group for us there. And then we had a bunch of players every quarter that qualified by playing live and playing tournaments. And we would send 7 people with Scotty to all the major tournaments. And they would get a $2,000 buy-in to one of the preliminary events. And Scotty, they would have dinner with Scotty the night before, and he'd have a coaching session. Then they'd play in the tournament with Scotty. And we did that
That's
for
amazing.
and we gave him these beautiful jackets and hats and all the gear and all the stuff. It's a Cherokee on it and all that, and the same thing that Scotty was wearing. So and we were there for his WPT win down in Louisiana as well. So, but
How fun.
yeah, it
What
was
a
that.
fun time.
That was the whole idea. Everybody just loved it because they had a good time. It was just fun. Poker's a social game for me. My son's a professional poker player. He learned from his grandmother, who used to beat his butt. But anyway, uh,
That's
that,
why he's probably so good today because you
that
didn't let him win. He had to
no,
earn it.
she would no way she would let him win. No, but or either my 2 sons, my son Sean too. But and the funny thing about Eric was he spent 21 years on the #1 morning radio show in Phoenix, and has become he wanted to play poker full time, and he's become a really good grinder poker player in Phoenix, and so proud of him. I spent 9 years in radio and television prior to going to Chicago and opening up a theater company in Chicago. But we go to the World Series every year, and he does well. He's going to play in the main event again this year. So
Awesome.
my wife Linda and I will be out there for the main event, and we're also bringing out my granddaughter, who's going to be graduating from 8th grade, and my step grandson, who's graduating from SU, and we're going to have a little party for him in Vegas. So the 2 graduates. So we're looking forward to this July. So.
Well, that's fun.
But I'll tell you, in those days, Scotty was the greatest ambassador in poker. He played actually played for us. We staked him in all the events, and we had a deal, and he played very, very well for us, and represented us very well, and hosted all our major our tournaments, and all the guys would come in to support him. Todd Brunson came in. Nam Lee won the second one. Keto Pham won the third Scotty Win Poker Challenge, and a lot of great people would come in. Barry Johnson lived in Oklahoma City. He's in the Hall of Fame. He came down. And one of the funniest men in the world, Amarillo Slim, used to come all the time. And he'd walk in the casino and say, "What are you doing here, you old fart?" And these kids, I'll tell you, these kids in Oklahoma, these young kids figured he's an old man. I can take him down. He would fleece these kids 20 grand. Gone in a second, just he would. And the best thing about it too is we had these dinners before the big events, and all the pros would be at this dinner, and the stories, oh my goodness gracious. We had one with Amarillo Slim, Cowboy Wolford's brother, from Texas, the guy that used to run the Redmond Club in Texas, Abbott, was there. Barry Johnson was there, Scotty, Amarillo Slim. I don't know if Sexton was there, one other pro. But they started talking about Benny Binion. Then they were all there when the first World Series started,
Right.
and the stories about who's buried here and who's buried there. And I was ready to kick myself because I should have set up a camera in the corner and recorded it, because it was hysterical. Oh my goodness gracious. The
Now
stories.
you touched on that you guys sponsored Scotty. If
Mm-hmm.
you can you tell us kind of what that deal was,
We
what
we did
that
a deal.
was like?
We did a pro deal with them. Where a lot of pros in those days. Would it be a 60-40, or a 70-30 or whatever? I think ours was a 60-40. We would buy him into the major events, and whatever he won, it was split 60-40. I think he got 60 and we got 40. We took care of his expenses and things like that. And so I think we did it for at least 4 years, but it was very lucrative. That's when he won the WPT. He won a couple other major events in those days, 2005 to 2008, 2007 actually. So we had a deal, and he also would come in and he'd host the three major tournaments, and he'd also go to our other uh, poker rooms, yeah, and hang out with the other Roland, Oklahoma, and West Island Springs near Fayetteville, Arkansas. And he'd go to our little old poker rooms and hang out with the player and play in the actual tournaments with the players. He'd go to every table and play at every table. So every player that was in the tournament got a chance to play at a table with Scotty Wynn, and so he was just a magnificent. We go on all the radio stations, all
What
the
a
TV
great
stations.
ambassador, like you said. What a
Oh,
great ambassador.
we had more fun. The local TV guy. Every time he came to Tulsa, we go down and we would play against this local TV guy, right? And so of course I dealt, and of course I set up the deck, and so so the last hand, right? I deal this poor guy 4 aces. And he's throwing his watch in, he's throwing his wallet in the pot. It was he had no idea. And I dealt Scotty a straight flush. And Scotty, of course, he threw his Rolex into the pot, and some of his chains went in the pot. And this is on live morning television.
I
And
love
then
it.
the poor guy sees Scotty straight flush and just about dies. And we had to tell him afterwards, "Oh yeah, by the way, we set you up."
But at
So,
least you got the natural reaction for the camera.
oh yeah, it was great. It was fun, and he was so fun on television, and so and then the son of Sam Walton's first store manager lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas, right near our West Island Springs casino. He used to come to Tulsa, Scotty's tournament all the time, bring his bunch of his buddies. These guys were richer than anybody in the world. He had this room where he had four poker tables and $1 million arrowhead collection in it. and he wanted Scotty to come down and deal some poker for his buddies in a little tournament down there, So we went down there and dealt poker. Scotty actually dealt when he was a dealer in Vegas for a while, and we actually dealt to these guys. And the stories that we heard there, this guy owned the entire block where we were at, and it was just, we had a lot of fun, and they all came and supported our tournaments and brought other players with them. So it was a lot of fun. So and when Scotty won his WPT, I took a group of people down there in one of those limo buses to watch him play.
Right.
So we went back because there's still another day to go, and I get this frantic call from Julie, and she says, "Scotty wants you to come back. He thinks you're lucky for him. He wants you to come back." I had just gotten back. I had to drive 7 hours to go back down to Louisiana. And if you watch the tape, you'll see me sitting in the background behind him. So, after it gets down to him and Mike in the last, they get down to heads up. Scotty says, "Come here. I want you to go to the bathroom." Right? I said, "Okay. Why do I want to go to the bathroom with you guys?" Well, they went in the bathroom and made a deal, and he wanted me to be there to hear it.
Right.
So it was
The
like,
witness.
well, thanks a lot, guys. So I have this on my plate now too. So he goes back and wins it in one hand. It's like,
Note
okay.
to self: don't become somebody's lucky charm.
No, my God, I was ready to die. So we had a
Sherry,
great time after he won it. But
Sherry, I was walking down the hallway with my youngest daughter at the World Series of Poker. Scotty's, I think he was at a final table, and the table was still going on, and he was rushing to the restroom, and he sees us, um and he stops. He walks up, "Oh, hey, baby." And he pulls the
Aw.
chip out of his pocket, gives it to her, and then heads off. Like, I was just like, who does that? Who stops in the middle of a final table and does that? He's
that's
just such a good guy.
that's the real Scotty Wynn. The other Scotty Wynn is just like Phil Hellmuth or Matusow or anybody
Yeah,
else.
yeah, they're
You know,
they've
you
never
go
moved
you go on
on.
tilt. We've all done it. You go on tilt, and the real Scotty Wynn is the one that you saw and the one that I worked with, and
Yeah,
I still know today
Awesome.
when he comes to Florida, he stays at our house, and we go to his place. We stay at his house, and we eat on the floor, and he cooks dinner for us.
Sounds magnificent to me. Brian, are you your sorry, your audio is very um rough. I don't know. Are you on a different speaker than you normally are, or
no, I'm here. Yeah,
it's
no,
it's really like muffled, and it's like a little bit of
that's
I
weird.
don't, it's not clear. It's weird. Okay. Anyway, do you have any questions, Brian?
Yeah, well, maybe they'll let us do this on our computers someday, where I'm sitting like next to a real microphone. But um, yeah, just talk a little bit about Rick. I was wondering, like, just a little bit about. It seems like you've been around poker for more than a couple of years here, um, but I, I wonder what your thoughts are on kind of like some of the different phases that we've gone through over the years, and obviously, the early 2000s with the poker boom, and then Black Friday, and just, talk a little bit about that.
Don't talk to me about Black Friday. I think you don't want to know my feelings about George W. Bush. But anyway, all they had to do was regulate it. That's all they had to do. Instead of shutting it down totally, because I think moneymaker and all that was the poker boom. Man alive, more people got interested in watching poker and playing poker. It was just the greatest thing that could have ever happened. They loved watching the characters like Scotty and Helmuth and Ugranyu, and having a chance now, knowing that, hey, this dude who used to play in a $25 home game just won the World Series of Poker. And guess what? We can play it and learn how to play it online, where it's easier and you're not risking your entire fortune to learn how to play this crazy game. And to me, that was the worst thing that could have ever happened to poker, is this goofball just shutting it down, not even going in and looking at it and saying, okay, what do we need to do to regulate it so that we know it's fair and that there aren't these scammers out there, which happens anyway. But instead of just shutting it down and saying, okay, you can't do this. But I really think that the moneymaker effect was huge. When they saw him bluff Sammy Fahar out of his pants, and for every common guy, and that's me. I'm just a common guy. I only play when I go see my son, and uh, just being involved in poker management my whole career was just. I just think that was the greatest thing that ever happened with Moneymaker, and it built from there, and in getting the pros involved online, and having and the guys teaching and doing just being available to talk to players and go and do things. It's just a shame. I think it's finally starting to come back. I think we're finally getting over that Black Friday hump. That should have never happened, and I think we're finally getting back. I think. Um, because I have a lot of experience with that in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Uh, when we opened, we were the first ones to really open up in Oklahoma, and we wrote all the regulations for all the games and everything. And these other tribes in Oklahoma were getting fleeced by guys from Atlantic City. They would come in and they would take a percentage of the drop and a salary. And there was so much graft and corruption going on with these guys coming out of Vegas and Atlantic City. They would just take these tribes for everything, and so we wrote a lot of the rules and regulations for all the games, and for everything. Because my best friend Steve, the COO, was in security and in that area. He was a game supervisor for the Nevada Control Commission in Vegas and Tahoe, and so he knew all the cheats. Believe me, he knew all the guys, and we saw him come in Oklahoma when we opened up. But also oversaw the writing of all these. And Jamie Hummingbird, who was the head of the tribal commission, made sure to get it out and get these rules and regulations and all the things you needed to do to make it fair and equitable for everybody in the gaming business. And he'd get them out to the other tribes. And so that's now I think there's probably some stuff going on maybe, but most of the time these guys they can ferret that out and figure out what's going on. So
What do you said, I mean, and obviously everybody keeps saying that, like, poker's back and that kind of thing. What do you think's led to that? What's changed, do you think, over the last few years, or
well, I think opening the internet back up has helped, where players can play on the internet again. I think that's a lot of states now are open. Um, and I'm hoping that Florida will open it up pretty soon to help the Seminole tribes able to do that. They've just been able to do Hard Rock Bet. They're running the betting in Florida online. Um, I think that's I don't know. I think a lot of the World Series has become such a big deal. And the WPT is doing such a fantastic job, and bringing out these tours, these new tournament tours like Moneymakers Tour and the WPT Deep Stacks, and there's Run Good Gear and all these other tours that come out to the um, local poker rooms, allow amateur players to get involved and get a shot at winning some big money in tournaments and learning to play against some of the pros. I'll tell you, the Hard Rock, their tournament series is unbelievable, and they do a great job at Hard Rock Hollywood and also over at Tampa and Coconut Creek with their tournaments. And I mean, all the pros are there for all that, and they run an excellent tournament series. And so, as this proceeds with other places in the country, more people are feeling that, okay, I can get involved in this, and I can learn from this. And so I think that's what's going on. There's a lot more teaching going on. A lot of the guys are teaching and allowing players to better themselves, and it's just getting people more confidence to be able to play, and they're not as intimidated by the pros anymore. So it,
yeah?
it's just opening it up to a lot more people, as it did with Moneymaker in those days when, you could play online all the time. And I think now it's reopening for everybody. So
It's just such a magical thing, like to see somebody play on TV, and next year or whatever, you're sitting across the table from them, and one of the
doesn't get any
places.
better than that, does it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Especially
just,
when you beat them out of a pot.
well, or like me, Rick, you learn some lessons.
Oh yeah. Oh, you sure do. You sure do. So
they, they
if you
teach
ever,
you a
if you ever
lesson.
run if you ever run into Scotty again, ask him who's the best Badoogie player.
Oh, all right, all right. Yeah, no, he is such a great guy, and
Yeah.
I mean, just like what you're saying about him, I know some different people that know him outside of the poker world personally, and just like they think the world of him, and you'll hear them say a lot of the same things. Just um, how much of a family guy he is too. A
Yeah,
lot of
he is
people
definitely most.
don't realize that, about him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So yeah. Scotty, I drive Scotty nuts when we play Badoogie against each other. So it's because I play bad cards well. So
so
So how much time have you spent playing poker? Do you,
I played a lot of house games when I was younger. And unfortunately, when I was dealing and stuff, a lot of the casinos wouldn't let you play in your own room. Although I changed that when I got to Oklahoma. There's a young man who cut his teeth dealing in Oklahoma, but he cut his teeth playing against people like Dan Fisher and Linda Johnson and Lane Flack and Scotty Wynn. And yeah, he was one of our opening dealers uh, in Tulsa, and his name is Ben Lamb.
what a great guy he is.
Isn't he though? And he's a great kid, and he was a dealer for us in Oklahoma. And we had these huge pot limit games. I tell you guys, there was $1 million on the table in cash, and I'd have two PLO games going at a time, and he would be dealing them. So he was seeing what was going on, and then we allowed the dealers to play, and then he'd jump in the games, and that's where he really cut his teeth learning how to play poker, and he's turned out to be a great professional. So
What a lucky duck he was.
yeah, yeah. I got to tell you a very funny story too, because Chinese poker was huge back then, and Linda Johnson, yeah. So Tony,
wait, hang on, Rick.
yeah,
Okay, I had a question from the audience. For those that don't know, can you just say who Linda Johnson is, and Jan?
Linda Johnson is the first lady of poker. She's the lady who started the Card Player magazine, and she sold it, and she has Card Player Cruises. She's in the poker. She is a female in the the Poker Hall of Fame. She's in the Women's Poker Hall of Fame, but she's in the regular Poker Hall of Fame. She's won a World Series event, um, and she's one of the greatest ladies in the world. She's one of the best poker players in the world,
Yeah,
male or female. And
yeah,
and Jan Fisher is her partner in crime. She dealt in Vegas in the early days. She has some great stories about Puggy Pearson throwing a lit cigarette in her face when she was dealing. Um, she's another terrific poker player, and they do seminars. They teach, and obviously they own Card Player Cruises, and they do these phenomenal cruises, poker cruises, actually poker cruises.
Well, and let's not forget that Jan helped Matt Savage and others to write the TDA rules.
Exactly. And you know who helped start the WPT, don't you?
Linda Johnson and
Lansing Johnson, Jan
yeah,
Fisher, right? Exactly.
yeah. And they also started Poker Gives, which is a great charity that Mike Sexton was kind of his baby.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're not only very accomplished on the felt, but they're very accomplished in the poker world, and they are amazing spokespeople, great examples of how we should all want to be representing the poker world.
absolutely. and they really helped. What's his name? Get the non-smoking thing going on. Because remember when I broke in as a dealer, these guys would be blowing smoke across the table at me. It was like, oh my god. But Tom. Well, anyway, she and him really pushed the idea of non-smoking poker rooms. But I'll just the funny story is,
My
yeah,
grandpa would
Tony
have
was
loved
my
that.
I was the director of poker table games at Cherokee, and Tony was my um, he was my what was he? He was over poker. He was my manager of poker, and I also had a man. He was a Cherokee as a way, and I had another Cherokee who was my manager over table games, and they reported to me. But Tony, he was a pro too. He played a lot of professionally. Played professionally. So Linda comes into town for the first time, and Tony wants to play her in Chinese poker. Needless to say, Tony lost about
Mistake.
the big huge mistake about $1,000 later. So it was hysterical watching him play because he was a really good player. He knew what he was doing. But Chinese poker, nah, you don't take on Linda Johnson in
I'm going to
Chinese
tell you,
poker.
one time I was playing at a ladies' tournament a few years ago, and I had Jan Fisher to my left.
Oh,
And
gee.
I've never in my life have felt like I had the principal sitting next to me as I did that day. I felt like I was sitting next to the principal, and because we had somebody at our table that I don't know if they were sober or not, but they just would not be quiet.
Oh, geez.
And the stuff they were saying was just aggravating Jan. And she would whisper stuff to me. And all I kept doing is like trying to give the look to this lady who just wouldn't shut up, because I was like, Jan is about to read. I was trying to get her to realize she needed to be quiet because the principal is here and she's going to get on to you in a minute. You're
Oh,
you're
no
going to go to
kidding.
the woodshed in a minute.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever seen her on her motorcycle?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's great. She's funny.
I love her when she does the emceeing for anything I've ever been to, and she's been the MC. She just is amazing as an MC.
Yeah. And I tell you this, we also televised the finals of the Scotty Wynn Poker Challenge every year on a local Fox network in the Oklahoma area. And Linda did the studio for me, and Jan was the scorer. So they were involved in all our TV broadcasts of those final tables.
I love that. I
Yeah,
absolutely love that. I love them. I appreciate them setting the bar so high. I
absolutely,
appreciate them paving the ground for me. The pavement has been laid because of them for me and other women, and they have fought many decades to make poker a better world for all of us. So
absolutely. And if you get a chance to go on one of their poker cruises, they're the best in the world. Absolutely best in the world. I took my mother-in-law, who was 86 at the time, and my sister-in-law and my wife on one of their poker cruises on over Mother's Day weekend. They taught my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law how to play poker.
how fun is
They
that?
had a ball. They had an absolute ball
Well,
with it.
and I'm going to tell you that I want to say Linda made a post that the cruise ship line that they normally use
Yeah,
um, is only going to allow them to do cruises through the end of 2024. So they'll be looking for, pardon me, looking for a new ship line to host their um, poker cruises on. But they do a great job. I highly recommend it.
absolutely. Yeah, they've been with Royal Caribbean for years, and they're starting to go after their own markets now. Royal Caribbean's going after their own gaming market,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what's going on right now.
yep.
So, but
I hate it for them.
yeah, I hope they do land. They've done Celebrity and they've done Royal Caribbean. They've done. I don't know if it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I really, really hope that they are able to work something out because it is so much fun. Absolutely so much.
And they're very successful at it. Like they sell out every time they have
Yeah,
a cruise. That's for sure.
they're the best.
Okay, I like to do a little thing I call rapid fire. Are you familiar with the rapid fire questions?
I've seen them on TV.
All right. I'm going to give you two choices. You have to pick one.
Okay.
All right. Oklahoma or Florida?
Florida now.
Beer or wine?
Why?
Online poker or live poker?
Live poker.
Boxers or briefs?
Boxers.
Pizza or steak?
Pizza.
Limit or no limit?
Oh, no limit now.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
That's all I got for you. Thank you for playing.
What you say?
I live in Florida. What do you want?
Well, you know.
So where are you coming to Florida? Where you have any idea when you're coming? Where you're coming to down here?
This is the magical question I face right now. It's Christmas time. People are in and out of the offices. So I am waiting for a response to a couple of emails. I do not have, um, I don't have confirmation yet. So I don't know the city. I could just tell you it's going to be, the game is going to be the 10th, 11th, or 12th
Oh,
of February. And I don't have the city yet.
okay. Well, I'll be coming home from St. Martin on the 10th. So
Well, fingers crossed that you'll be able to join us.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. We're my wife and I are avid cruisers. We're going on our 70th cruise in February over my birthday, and it's taking one off the bucket list for her on the ship that we're going to go on. So she's always wanted to do this. It's on on the Windsurf, which is a five-masted sailing ship. It only holds 300 some people. So we're and our
I'm
best friend.
so jealous. I'm so jealous of that. You just don't know. I am so jealous of that cruise. I can't believe you guys have been on 70
Yeah,
cruises.
this will be. I've been cruising since 1983,
So,
so
how many do you typically go on in a year?
two or three. You know,
Nice.
it's really. We just got off the Enchantment of the Seas out of Tampa, so it's fun. Well, here's the story. She gets all these offers from the casino, so so
Right.
so like this last cruise on the Enchantment, it cost us $277.
No, hey, look, I had a friend call me back in the summer. Hey, Sherry, I got this deal because she cruises often. Do you want to go on a cruise with me? I'm like, I don't even know where we're going, but I'm in. And she goes, it's going to cost you $100.
There you go.
And it's an 8-day cruise. And I get a a suite cabin or whatever, a suite. And I'm like,
Hmm.
$100, eight
Yeah,
days. I'm
I'm
in.
in.
I don't even know where the fuck I'm going. Excuse me. I don't even know where the hell I'm going next September, but I'm going on a cruise.
Good for you. That's the way to do it. That's the only way to do it.
And then she said she made our reservation, and I said, okay, let me Venmo you the 100. And she goes, oh, no. She goes, they're going to give us $100 casino credit. So we get on the ship, just give me your $100 casino credit, and we're even.
There you have it.
And it includes the drink package. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What? Okay, Miss Donna, you got some questions for our pal Rick?
Hey Rick, it's nice to finally hear your voice and actually speak to you properly.
Donna Bodonna, how are you doing?
I'm good, still getting over Vegas, but it's all good. So you're coming to Florida then?
I'm
Hopefully.
in. I live in Melbourne, Florida, which is up by Cape Canaveral. We're about 25 minutes south of the Cape, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's a great area to be in. It's a great. We retired 5 years ago. We lived on a place called Fort Myers Beach for 11 years, and which was my dream because I worked with Immokalee. And unfortunately, last year, Hurricane Ian basically wiped out that entire island. I had three buddies that lost their restaurants. The four houses at the end of our block were totally gone. But we had sold the house about a year before Ian came through. But so my dream was to come to Florida to end my career in Florida, and the dream came true. But being up here in this area is just beautiful. A lot of NASA engineers, SpaceX engineers, a lot of retired people, and we're only about an hour from Daytona, and Byron Rodriguez is a buddy of mine who's the tournament director there. He worked with me. He was in Tampa as a tournament director, and he came down to Mockley and helped run my tournaments down there with me. And a good guy, and it's a good room. Orange City, good room as well. So, and of course, the most profitable poker room in the country. You know what room that is?
No,
That's kind of that's kind of a tricky question because, like, my snap answer would be Best Bet in Jacksonville, just because of the talk of the town about it. And of course, I've been there a bazillion times, but Daytona's been there so long. I could see it being Daytona. I quit. What's the answer?
Hard Rock Tampa.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
Their
absolutely see
their,
that.
their poker tables make as much as the gaming tables.
I can see that.
It's one of the most profitable casinos in the world, and
I
a
can
poker
see
room.
that.
But Best Bet's an excellent room too, so it's cool.
Tampa, I will always have a special spot in my heart for that poker room at Tampa Hard Rock because the very first tournament I ever played in a casino was there and I won it.
Oh, good for you! That's a great story. Great
So
story,
it
Sherry.
will always have a soft spot for me in my little
Absolutely,
heart.
absolutely. Like my first cruise, 1983. Same thing. Good for you. That's great. So Donna, how's the weather?
horrible. It's
I
blowing a
heard that.
gale.
I was watching the English Premier League this afternoon, man. It looks terrible. Holy Moses.
It's awful. We've had Storm Pier came through,
Yeah,
and
I
he
saw
was
that.
blowing a proper hooler.
Oh,
And we've got rain, but we've not got snow, so I'm not bothered.
you guys really got hit this year, I'll tell you. My goodness.
Yeah,
Well, you ought to join the girls down in Florida here, Come on down.
3 more years, then maybe.
Well, I hope so, and if you're in Vegas during the World Series, I'd love to meet you. We'll be there the 1st through the 6th, and I think my son's going to play on the 4th. But we'd love to meet you guys at a point in time because it's a wonderful world of poker players and people in the business and poker and stuff. So it's nice to meet everybody and just hang out and trade stories.
I
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love listening to people such as like you, Rick, and Sherry and Sean, and all those that I would have never have got to know if it wasn't for Spaces.
Oh, absolutely! It really connects the world, doesn't it? It's
So
wonderful.
I
It's
For
wonderful,
sure.
wonderful stuff.
For
Absolutely wonderful
sure.
stuff.
Cool chick, you came up on the panel. Did you have a question or comment for our guest?
Well, I really love your story and your how your progression of going building these poker rooms and things, and I was already kind of super jealous. And then you mentioned all the cruises, and then you had to mention Melbourne, Florida, and I was like, no, ever. But no, we moved from Melbourne about 5 years ago, because my family is in Kentucky, but I cannot wait to move back. Every chance we get, we go back to Melbourne or to Cocoa Beach, and
Oh yeah,
I love it there. But we used to live over on Bluff Drive. It's over by Holmes Regional.
sure. Yeah, I know that area. We're in Suntree.
And when you asked the question about the most profitable poker room, I was going to joke with you and say Club 52 and see
Oh
if you.
no, 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 old dog track. No,
Yeah, yeah, the dog track off
yeah,
of
yeah.
Sino-
Listen, people are
Sunoco
nice there.
Road.
The people are really nice there. It's all old farts like me, and they're nice there. But it's still, yeah, it's an old dog track. But yeah, well, yeah, Melbourne's beautiful. It's a beautiful area, and we have a lot of fun here.
Yeah,
So,
we lived in Grant for a little while too. It's nice down there in
yeah.
Grant as well. But my his brother is he does contract work for that. What is that?
Northrop Grumman, yeah.
Northrop,
Oh
I
yeah.
think it is that he does some contract work. military still though. And then, Satellite Beach there. I love Satellite Beach too.
Oh yeah, Cocoa Beach. All right. Here's a trivia question for you. What TV series was Cocoa Beach prominently figured in?
Miami Vice.
Nope. I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. That was where they lived, in Cocoa Beach, the astronauts.
And where's the world's most famous invest surfer from? Kelly Slater. He's from Cocoa Beach.
Cocoa Beach. Yep, another guy. So,
My man used to surf with him.
Oh, there you go. How cool is that? Hey, Sherry, I have every episode of Miami Vice.
I love it. I bet you there are a lot of people under the age of 30, maybe even 35, that have no clue what we're talking about.
Was that mind? I mean, that just changed
Crockett and Tubbs.
TV forever. I mean, the outfits those guys wear, the music that was involved. Oh, I love it. Every time we drive to Miami to take a cruise, I put on the soundtrack from Miami Vice.
Oh, I love that.
That
was one of my favorite shows because they were flashy. They had all these beautiful clothes and suits, and it was awesome.
You'll never guess what other series I have every episode of.
Let me think.
MASH.
Barney, not Barney Fife. What the hell is it? Barney, that police show. Barney Miller.
No, it's The Love Boat.
Oh, of course. How did we not get that, Mr. 70 Cruises?
Yeah, a couple of the gifts that I've received from my wife over the years, I have a collection I have a cruise collection. I have a bunch of original chips from the inaugural of the Royal Princess, but I have a signed picture from Gavin McLeod, Captain Stubing in the Love Boat.
Oh.
And I have a script from a 1980 production of The Love Boat that's signed by all the cast members.
That's awesome.
So
very cool.
Cool. I was going to say, can I send you one of my poker chips to add to the collection?
Yes. Well, that's something I didn't mention. But every time Scotty came into town, we made up poker chips. We had a $5 check that was live on all the gaming tables that had his picture on it, and every tournament that he did, we made up a specific poker chip for the tournament. It wasn't used in the tournament, but it was for Scotty to give out and sign.
Oh, that's awesome!
And we did like 150 of them for every tournament. And not only that, we made up felts for every tournament that had his picture on it. And when all the pros came into town to play in the tournament, they signed the felt.
Right.
And we framed them and put them up in that high limit room.
That's very cool.
That was a lot of fun. We had his birthday parties were hysterical. I'll tell his 45th birthday party. We kept telling him, no, these guys can't come. They can't come. Sorry. He invited Lane Flack, Barry Johnson, Matt is out, all these guys. And we said, no, they can't come. They can't come. So we busted his ass. We sat him down in a room and we blindfolded him. Okay. And then, so he had to guess who was in front of him. He only guessed one person. He didn't guess any of the pros. He guessed one person. We flew his mother in from Vietnam.
Oh.
He had no idea she was coming in. And all of a sudden, when she was about 5 feet from him, he jumps up and says, "Mom!"
Oh, how awesome is that?
Because he smelled her. He knew her smell.
No.
And that's what he told us. And it was just, and my buddy Sal, who was a great baker, he baked a cake that was the entire size of a poker table. And he baked the chips and the cards and everything.
That's amazing.
Oh, it was fun. I'll tell you, that cake was good too, But those, that's the way I look at poker. That's the way, when I was a poker manager or director of poker, we wanted to make it fun for everybody. Just have fun, and enjoy the fact that you're able to play with some of the great professionals
in the
game. You
And
know,
we're kind of missing that these days.
yes. So
Go ahead.
that's why we started every tournament with a Jack and Jill, because it
I
kicked it
love it.
off like crazy. Everybody just loved playing with each other, you know, and having fun and stuff. And it's so, and then that's why we brought in Linda and Jan, and Kathy Liebert came in and hosted an entire seminar with the ladies, and Loopy came in and did a series there too, and
Love
so
it.
that's that was the whole idea, is to have to, because Oklahoma was new, and I mean poker was new in Oklahoma,
Right.
although there'd been a lot of underground games, you know that, but we just wanted everybody to enjoy the game and have some fun, and that's to me, it's such a social game, and it's that's the whole idea, is to have fun. And it was like, and I learned that from my mother. That was her thing. She just loved playing. She was born in 1917, so she played cards her whole life, bridge,
Right. Right.
poker, pinochle, you know, and she just loved. And in her later years in Florida with me, she loved playing with the boys and just taking
I
all
love
their money.
it. All right,
So
cool chick. Did you have another question or comment? I saw your hand was up a minute
Yeah,
ago.
I'm baking a cake right now, actually, speaking of cakes, preparing for Christmas dinner. But I have another question. It's not poker related, but have you ever been on the cruise to see the Northern Lights?
no, we've been on Alaska cruise with a card player Alaska cruise, which was outstanding, and we went to Sitka, but it was during the day, and I've been looking on the internet on YouTube and watching all these things about the Northern Lights and all that, and going, oh, I'd love to do an Arctic Circle cruise, you know, where you see the Northern Lights. I have seen the Northern Lights in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, when I was out of college. We went up by Mackinac Island and past the Grand Hotel up there to Sault Ste. Marie, and we saw them up there. But I've never seen them on a cruise ship. But
Wow.
that would
That's
be
my
fun.
number one bucket list, is just to see the Northern Lights.
So
If
yeah, so you want to do one of the Arctic cruises, then, I assume, right?
I would like to do, that's like number three on my bucket list, is to do a cruise at all. But
I'm,
yeah,
I'm sure it would be beautiful. But I'll tell you something. I got very lucky. 1985, I was on the Pacific Princess, the original Love Boat. She was her first year in the Mediterranean, and we went on Naples because they had to move her over to Naples from Athens. There was a hijacking in Athens. 12 days going through the Bosphorus between Europe and Asia, and standing on the deck over the bridge and the wind blowing in your face going to Istanbul. That is pretty wild. Let me tell you something. And a gentleman who was on the cruise with us was a guy by the name of Ted Koppel. He was the original host of Nightline on television. He had his
Yep.
family. He had his family on the cruise, his wife and his 3 kids, and he was going to do a special in Egypt. We went to Egypt as well. And his 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 wife smoked like a fiend, and the older girl kept giving cigarettes to the younger girl, and so he finally caught him and he sat him down. And but the neat thing, he was so personable and so nice. He gave 2 speeches on the ship. And I taught him how to play craps while I was on the ship as well. Because there's only 600 people on the ship, and he was telling a story. He was on the shuttle diplomacy with Henry Kissinger, and going back and forth with Sadat and whoever the premier of Israel was. They're going back and forth with Egypt and Israel, and Kissinger's on the plane, and Kissinger's they're using Air Force One, so Kissinger's in the presidential suite. So he comes back. Kissinger gets up and comes back to talk to the reporter sitting next to Ted Koppel. Kissinger's flies open. How do you tell Henry Kissinger's flies open? So they didn't say anything, but they wrote a note.
XYZ
Yeah,
PDQ.
yeah. So they wrote him a note, and he just took it and put it in his pocket. Okay, and walked back up front to the presidential thing. About 2 minutes later, they heard ho 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 ho. He had read the note. So those are the kind of stories
Oh,
Koppel's telling on the ship, you know. And it was just, oh my God, the Love Boat. Ah, that was just so much fun. We sat at
oh,
we sat at a table with a guy named Brian Kelly, who was the purser which is customer service these days. And he was a 4-stripe officer. He'd been with P&O for 25 years, 4 stripes, and he was a purser. And he bought wine he was Irish as Irish could be, and he kept buying us wine. We had 3-hour dinners. I never walked away from dinner so drunk in my life. He just kept buying bottles of wine. Come on, drink this. It's like, okay, twist my arm, So we had some fun dinners, but yeah.
I want to point out, I know Sean left, but he posted in the chat of this space a picture of a Cherokee Casino poker room visor with Scotty's signature on it.
There you
And
have
he
it.
said Scotty win circa 2006, and he said had to blow some dust off of it. I love that.
That's great. That's great.
I pinned it to the top.
That's awesome.
So I was just telling you, we were on the Enchantment of the Seas, and the people next to us at dinner, the last night we were talking to her from Vietnam, and their last name was Nguyen, of course, which is very common in Vietnam.
Right.
So I told them the story about Scotty, and I just happened to have I played a tournament on the ship, and we chopped at the end, which was amazing for me. But anyway, I happened to have a Scotty Win Poker Challenge chip with me, signed by Scotty. And so we left dinner, and so I went up to the room, the cabin, and I got the chip, and I brought it down to him and gave it to him. And they went crazy. They were from Minnesota, of all places, but they went crazy. They thought it was so cool. So he was going to show it off to all his buddies, saying, "Look what I got."
I love it.
So
how fun is that?
That's why we did the chips, so we could give them to people, and people just enjoy having something like that from a well-known pro, So
it's the little things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Little things that really matter in the world of poker,
and it brings us together.
Absolutely. Brian, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay, anybody else?
I do have one more question, and I hope this isn't over intruding. Are you Cherokee?
No, I'm very much Irish. My wife my wife brought me in a shot of Jameson Triple, which you can't get in the United States. We got it on the cruise ship. So, no, very much Irish, but I was very honored to work for the Cherokee Nation. I went to classes with the chief of the tribe to learn Cherokee history. What's her name? Oh, I'm getting old, guys. But I worked with the daughter of the Cherokee's only female chief, who was very famous in those circles. And her mother, who had been chief of the tribe for many years and wrote books, very well known, would bring her girlfriends in, and they wanted to play poker. And we'd set them up with a private table, and we'd get them a couple of dealers, and they would play poker in our poker room. And her mother was very, very, very well known. And I can't remember her name right now. And her daughter was the head of publicity for the Cherokees at the time. And her mom, who was just a wonderful Wilma Mankiller. Her name was Wilma Mankiller, and she was a chief of the Cherokee Nation. And she loved playing poker, just loved it, and would come in.
Oh my God! Have you ever heard of a name of a female more appropriate for poker than Mankiller?
Yes, Wilma Mankiller. Yeah. If you go ahead and Google,
I'm jealous.
Yes, Google her. Google her. You'll see what a great woman this was in our history that a lot of people don't know about. And she was fun. She was so much fun. And her daughter, like I said, was her office was right across from mine. And she said, "Hey, Mom's coming in. Can you?" I said, "Absolutely.
Sure.
We'll take care of her." Yeah. So yeah, that's poker. There you go. It's just like amazing. It's just a wonderful, wonderful game and social get together, you know. So it's, for me anyway, social. For my son, it's a little different, but it's you know, so it's just so much fun to talk about it. You know, it really is, and yeah, and having a forum like this, Sherry, is just absolutely, and Brian, absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Well, we appreciate you chatting with us tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and thank you. You're always a pleasure. We Donna and I don't remember who else was in there that night, had a chance to chat with you in a very, it may have just been three of us in a
It
space
was just the
before.
three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really enjoyed that conversation, and it was so funny because not too long after it, her and I were talking, and almost simultaneously, we were like, we've got to have him on the show
Yeah.
Oh,
because it was a pleasure. And I'm so happy you joined us. And of course, we'll see you in the spaces in the future. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.
well, thank you so much, and same happy holidays to everyone. I hope to get to meet you all in the very near future. You're wonderful folks. So we'll see you in the poker world.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Thanks, Cool Chick. Thanks, Donna and Sherry and Tom and everybody else. Have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Good
Take
night.
care. Good night.